Live from a green screen studio in Austin, it's Adults Are Talking with Andrew Heaton. Coming up, an interview with Michael Malice, some sketch comedy, and Heaton's famous kink meter. It's Adults Are Talking with Andrew Heaton.
Hello and welcome to Adults Are Talking with Andrew Heaton. Thank you. I am your eponymous host, Andrew Heaton, and we are in for a fun show tonight. I'm going to interview Michael Malice and sucker punch him. Hold on now. Then I'm going to make nice with him, and we'll reconnect, and he will drive me to the airport. There's going to be a whole beautiful emotional arc. Aww. Thank you. We're going to do jokes about Canada. We're going to do jokes about France. And I stole a bunch of sketches from Gary Shandling. He can't do anything because he's still in hiding after faking his own death. Great show. Great show. That was a close one.
Oh my God, did you see that? I took my helmet off for 1 second, I put it back on, and then the bomb exploded. You know what that was? That was a gosh darn miracle, that's what that was.
Miracle indeed. I guess it's true what they say, there's no atheists in foxholes.
What?
You never heard that one, Martin? There are no atheists in foxholes?
No. I'm an atheist.
Oh, okay. Hey, anybody want to trade ration kits? I am sick and tired of tin sausages.
Yeah, no, I got something here. Picked up off of Dead Fritz. Ask Lee Dungsverst.
Ah, shit. That means tin sausages.
Shit. Martin? Martin, you alright?
No. I'm an atheist.
Oh, what of it?
So no atheists in foxholes? I'm not supposed to be here.
No, Martin, God damn it, it's an aphorism, you know? It just means that everybody hopes for divine intervention whenever there's a perilous situation, like this one.
Like, oh God, please stop raining artillery shells down on us. You know, like, no atheists in foxholes.
Well, then I'll just see myself out.
What? No, Martin, no, stop that.
No
Martin, stop it. What do you, stop that.
Jesus. For God's sake, Martin, get down here. You're gonna get shot.
I don't believe in God, Al, so I guess I can't hang out in your discriminatory foxhole.
Of course you can.
It's just a saying.
It's a saying that makes me feel excluded.
You feel excluded by the people that are trying to literally kill you.
Ow. Whatever, I don't need this shit. Ow. Fuck. Ow. I'm doing just fine on my own out here, okay?
Look, Martin, you've been shot, what, 3 times? You really should come back in here, get stitched up.
Oh, I'd love to, but as an atheist, I'm not permitted in your glory hole.
Foxhole.
It's just a saying.
Listen, Martin, Al and I, we're not even very good Christians, all right? I go to church on Christmas and funerals, and Al he's a Methodist, which is basically the light beer of Christianity.
Oh. Thanks, but I'm doing just fine on my own.
Okay, how about this? Do you know 100% that God isn't real?
Well, no, but how can anybody know that?
Okay, great. Then technically you're agnostic.
Yes, not an atheist.
Interesting.
Which, by your strict, pointless interpretation of the aphorism, means you may legally come back into the foxhole before you get blasted with a mortar shell.
Get the fuck in here.
Okay, I'll go in, but only halfway.
For fuck's sake.
Okay, Al and I talked about it. We have rezoned this area. This is not a foxhole anymore. This is now a possum cavity.
Okay, so it's not a foxhole.
It's never been a foxhole. They're just rocks.
Come on, it's a fucking ridge. Look at all the moss.
Okay, I'll go in.
You're a very lucky man, Martin. Who knows? Maybe there was some higher power looking out for you. Or maybe that crouch just kept grazing you by chance instead of bagging the headshot. Important thing is you're safe now.
Yeah, either way. Welcome back to the Possum Ridge, Martin.
God damn it.
Extra, extra, read all about it. It's Adults Are Newsing.
Our first story comes to us from the ocean. Recently, a Florida man was arrested trying to cross the Atlantic Ocean in a giant hamster wheel because people will do anything to avoid Spirit Airlines. At least on a hamster wheel, you get one free carry-on bag. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has twice abruptly paused in the middle of a speech, leading to concerns that the senator's too advanced in age to competently drive on the highway or hold office or drive his car through office. Meanwhile, 93-year-old Senator Dianne Feinstein, California's senior-most elected vampire, is continuing to serve her 7th decade in government, all while her children and stepchildren fight in court over who inherits her estate, very much as if her own children do not believe she's mentally competent to execute her will of several billion buffalo nickels and bullion cubes, maybe beanie babies. I don't know how this works. Now listen, we don't take joy in anybody's mental decline, even politicians. But given their advanced age and increasingly erratic behavior, the American people are justifiably starting to wonder, are they f***ing? Because I think yes. I think they're fucking. Here's why. Yesterday, whilst hamster wheeling past Senator Feinstein's Senate office, I noticed this. Her door was locked. Somebody was playing Let's Get It On by Glenn Miller Orchestra, and there was a necktie on the doorknob, which is exactly what I did in college when I had sex with senators. Or the elderly. Most damning, our news team was able to illegally obtain the following audio from Senator McConnell's office. Hit it.
Now, this is Viagra. Is it a suppository or an opository?
I'm sorry, Senator, what's an opository?
Why, there's a pill, but for your face hole.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I guess it's an opository then.
Can you call Diane's office and confirm she's on birth control?
Senator, she's 93. She can't have any...
Well, it can grow back.
No, that's not how menopause works.
Tell her to get a vasectomy.
Well, that's, again, she...
Why is there a horse in our office?
Shit! They're onto us! Albert, run! Look, I understand from time to time everybody needs to get their majority whipped, and I have no ethical problem with a McConnell-Feinstein bone party. But it does make me wonder, if we don't think Congress could competently scan a QR code on a menu, why would we want to give them more control over the economy? Good point, Heaton. Our next story involves reptiles with hard shells. The CDC warns not to kiss or cuddle your turtle, as apparently that's something weirdos do, and it spreads salmonella. To which Mitch McConnell replied, "What if I wear a mask?" In our final story, scientists predict that in the year 2024 we will have between 1 and 6 presidential elections, which has prompted a variety of politicians, cranks, and muppets to scuttle into the presidential primaries. Recently, all of the top presidential candidates, except for Donald Trump, held a debate to win over the 7 remaining Republican voters who are not already planning to vote for Trump, making this the first election in American history where there are more candidates than actual voters. Which begs the question, what are any of these so-called people actually running for? Because it can't be president. I'm glad you asked. Presenting the Heaton Presidential Ambitions Meter, which charts the real motivations of people running for president of the United States. Now, very few people actually running for president, basically Nikki Haley and that guy from Florida. Neither of them can win, but they might have a shot if it turns out Donald Trump was just pulling a prank the first 2 times. That means the sweet spot is vice president, which is what former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson is running for, which is basically Mike Pence with a twang. If Mike Pence were oatmeal, Asa Hutchinson is grits. Senator Tim Scott and former Congressman Will Hurd, they're running for cabinet positions, like Secretary of State or Secretary of Hammocks. Thanks, Carter administration. Chris Christie is clearly running for a television deal like The Apprentice 2, The Revenge, or Survivor, Atlantic City. Then we got the book deal category. As a rule, if you've never heard of a candidate, that's what they're running for. They're running for a book deal. And now we get into the niche stuff. Vivek Ramaswamy is running because he lost a bet with his Call of Duty buddies. Remember Larry Elder? Me neither. What about that Doug Berman guy? No idea. They're running for just get out of the house. Just get out of the house. Get some fresh air. Then at the very bottom, we got Mike Pence, currently running for feel something, anything, pain or joy, just to convince myself or my wife that I still exist. A category which will soon include Asa Hutchinson. Up next, I'm going to be talking to Michael Malice about the white pill. I thought that meant he was going to give me Quaaludes, but it's a book.
I hate communism, but I love reading, which is why I enjoy The White Pill by Michael Malice, my guest today. This fine book details the rise and fall of the Soviet Union and the battle between the free world and the commie world, which we will be speaking about today. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Andrew.
I grew up in a Norman Rockwell painting. You were born in the Soviet Union. For those of us that are from Norman Rockwell paintings, what do we not get about the Soviet Union?
Well, I guess you don't get living in 3D. Good Lord.
But it's great. It feels very warm. It's good lighting.
Oh,
it's very agricultural.
Thanksgiving every day.
Thanksgiving every day, and like doctors putting their stethoscopes on teddy bears and things. So yes, it's like everything but the 3D was great.
And no minorities.
Well, we're working on that. We're slowly adding some people to the Norman Rockwell painting.
Did he ever? I think he must have later.
No, Presbyterian.
And he did the Brown versus Board of Ed painting. Wasn't that him?
I think so.
That was him. Yeah. That was very, very poignant picture.
Not racist. Thank God. I was very worried there for a second. For the 50s, pretty good. For the 50s, pretty good.
I think the American faux 50s era that you are referring to has this very corporate and inaccurate view that human beings are basically nice, that everything is like the worst thing that's going to happen in school is you're going to skin your knee and mommy's going to, put the Band-Aid in the boo-boo. And, if you just work hard and fly right, everything's going to work out. And that might be accurate for the United States and the United States in that era.
Listen, I have a bumper sticker that says all those things verbatim on my car at this exact moment. I do think most people...
And you really got to look close, and then you get the car accident because the print is really
pass out magnifying glasses.
Yeah. But there is a naivete in America to this day, which I share to some extent, about the obliviousness of what it is like living in these totalitarian countries, because there's this kind of vision of you watch some movie and it's some crazy guy, Sacha Baron Cohen, right? The dictator. He's got epaulets. He's got all the medals. He's got a crazy facial hair. He bangs his fist on the table. Everyone's got to read a book talking about how great he is, and the people are hungry. Like if that's the limits of like,
if it were costumery.
Yeah, it's like you're in costume and you're hungry and you got to read a stupid book. Like I think that is the kind of cartoon version of what life is like under these dictatorships. And the reality is so much darker that I don't think there's even space for it in the same gallery as Norman Rockwell.
Well, one of the things I enjoy about your book, like I am also a foe of communism and totalitarianism. I tend to approach it from kind of an economic, practical side. So when I'm talking about it, I'll explain why it doesn't work agriculturally and why people starve to death just because of the way systems work. You don't go for it in terms of effect. You go straight for morality of this was an evil force. This was something that was bad from the start. And I enjoy you taking that tack because it's so different than what I normally do, and I think it's worth talking about.
I don't think your tack works at all. And I'm reminded of Ayn Rand, who was the first chapter, and she's on the cover. And she was on Donahue in 1979, Phil Donahue, who I'm sure you look up to, who really had a great show for his time.
He's a bit before me. I don't really know a lot about
what he did, Donahue did very well, was he would have everyone from all over the political spectrum on, and really kind of people who were out there, and he treated them very respectfully, let them say their piece. And he was the guy who was kind of breaking down the Overton window, even though he was like a hardcore lefty. So he had her on. He goes, I don't understand why you have to be so hard on these people. Why can't you just say, I don't agree? And she goes, because I look at them. She goes, look at them. They don't hesitate to sacrifice whole nations. And I think to your point, And there's the receipts in the book. People like Upton Sinclair, who's still very much revered in America, a great writer in terms of his accomplishments. When he's told that there were millions of people starved in Ukraine during the early 30s in the Holodomor, he goes, well, I think numbers aren't as high as people say, but look at it this way. They solved the problem of famine forever. So, which is not true. So if you sit down and say to some of these people by their own admission, like, hey, the system's not going to work, you're going to have 1 million people starve, he'd be like, yep, that's the price. And you've persuaded them not at all. And I don't know that I go into it in a sense of morality. It's just when you're talking about children being driven to suicide, I don't know that's like, you don't need me to be there like, guys, this is wrong. I think the things that happened and happen to this day in these countries like North Korea are so morally obscene. It's not that the author has to have their 2 cents and being like, what do you think, guys? Isn't this terrible? It's so removed from any semblance of humanity in the United States that pretty much anyone who hears about this is like, my God, and has to run screaming in the opposite direction. And the only reason, or one of the main reasons, the Soviet Union, as I discussed, is sustained itself for as long as it did, is for every atrocity that was committed by these people. There were no shortage of Western influencers who were tripping over themselves to tell people in the West how great the system over there was and how it's just lies, what's going on there. That's the criticisms. And this was the nation of the future. We tend now to look back at the Soviet Union, if it's discussed at all, because it's a big kind of egg in the face for many of these intellectuals who've never had consequences for their depravity. As it's kind of like, everyone's gray and everyone's waiting in line for food and they're all miserable, but it was sold as sci-fi. This was the country of the future. Lenin said communism is socialism plus electricity. Instead of this backwards shopkeep, instead of the Norman Rockwell bourgeoisie, where you've got the butcher and you've got the greengrocer and you've got the town librarian, we're going to have everything run centrally with the greatest minds of our era, and they're going to manage it, and it's really going to be like a rocket ship to the moon. And that was really and there's never been a nation like this before, true. So this is really next-gen tech in terms of politics. And that's how it was sold for decades. And at a certain point, you're looking at it and you're like, how are you next-gen when you don't even have electricity?
Well, that's one of the reasons I really like your book is you illustrate from the beginning with Lenin, there is violence, evil, and terror. That does not abate until the end of the Soviet Union. And what I notice is I really like Bill Bryson. I'm a Bill Bryson fan. I enjoy his travelogues, right? He's going through Eastern Europe at one point in one of his books, and he's talking about the fall of the Soviet Union, and he literally says, can we pause for a moment? It didn't work out, but it was a worthwhile experiment to see if we could do it. Yeah, and you get the distinct impression that were he to keep talking about it, and I'm supposing this, but I know people who would say this, that were we to try it again, but do it better, that it would work out. The idea of if we give experts enough power to rebuild society, we could make society great. And there's almost this idea that it was just poorly executed. And I gather that you're saying from the beginning, no, this wasn't misapplication of an otherwise good idea. This was something that was not just fundamentally unworkable, but fundamentally evil, and manifested that way again and again and again.
Well, I think poorly executed is an interesting choice of words, because when you regard the individual as having no value or only of value in service of the collective, then if that individual happens to be destroyed for the greater good, it's not even a loss, it's a net good.
I want to take a break from the sheer terror, the unrelenting terror for a moment. You have, I'm going to say, very funny Reagan anecdotes and Cold War jokes in the book. Can we swap a couple?
Sure. So what Reagan did very effectively, he was obviously an actor. That was his background. He was the first union leader to become.
Yes, I love that, by the way. I didn't even realize that. He's the first union leader in American history to become president.
Yes.
Ronald Reagan.
And first person to get divorced to become president. And
really a left-wing hero.
Yes. Well, he was an FDR a fan till the day he died.
You said that. He was an FDR fan forever.
Oh, forever. Never.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And what he did extremely effectively, he was nicknamed the Great Communicator, is he would tell jokes so Russians have something called anecdote, which is they tell each other, it's really excruciating when you meet Russians, because it's like, have you heard the latest ones? And they're almost never funny. And then the Russian will tell you, me, like, oh, you just didn't get it? Like, I understood the words, It's not funny. But what Reagan did is he took some of these and he would tell them to Gorbachev or to the audience. And what court jesters, the whole kind of motif of the court jester, or the archetype, is he can speak truth to power because if everyone's laughing, you can kind of get the knife in through
The Russians specifically had the holy fool, right? Where
yes.
The only guy allowed to criticize the Tsar was the weird street monk that would go in and say the jokes.
So Reagan was just told this one about how this commissar goes to one of their collective farms and he goes, "Oh, how are how are the crops?" He goes, "Oh, comrade commissar, this is a bumper year. The wheat is just amazing. We've never had so much wheat." He goes, "Oh, that's wonderful. What about the potatoes?" "Oh, comrade commissar, if we stacked up all the potatoes, they'd reach the foot of God." And the commissar goes, "This is the Soviet Union. We don't have any God here." He goes, "That's okay. There's no potatoes." And everyone laughs. And what you realize when he got in under the radar is he's telling you, this is a godless country that can't feed its own people. So the message, the subtext, is extremely serious and dark. But because it is this kind of like amiable grandpa figure, you just laugh. And then later you're like, wait a minute, that's really bad.
Yeah.
And you could say it to Gorbachev's face and Gorbachev will laugh because Gorbachev grew up in this milieu, but he'll get the point.
Can I give you my favorite Reagan Cold War joke?
Please.
It's in East Berlin. There's a curfew in place. An American visitor is walking with a guard, the guard says, curfew's going to be in 10 minutes. He sees a guy and he just shoots him in the back. And the American goes, "Holy shit, you just shot that man." And he goes, "Well, there's a curfew." And he goes, "But he had 5 minutes left." And he goes, "He's my neighbor. I know where he lives. He couldn't have got back in time." Again, same thing with the Reagan, but it's very dark. It's this man shot his neighbor because he's like, it takes 8 minutes to walk to my house, so I'll gun him down. But it's that funny yet dark.
And also the idea that if you're out on the street 3 minutes past curfew, you should be executed on the spot instead of arrested.
I mean, that's pretty hardcore Singapore level, and then some kind of stuff.
What a great chat with that guy. Anyway, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor, the Roomba Butler. It's here.
Wings?
Nope. Better.
Oh, you got a new appliance.
I did. Check this out.
So you bought a statue of yourself?
No, I bought a Roomba Butler.
A Roomba Butler?
Uh-huh. You know Roombas?
Yeah, I've got one.
That vacuum?
Yes.
In houses?
Again, yes.
Uh-huh. It's one of those, except it's a full butler. It cleans, it cooks, it mows your lawn, it does everything. My life's about to become awesome.
No shit. Okay.
Oh, hey, thanks.
Yeah. Hey, listen, can we talk for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Listen, your house is beautiful. Your yard, immaculate. Those pigs in a blanket we had for lunch, delicious.
They were delicious.
Everything's cool. Here's the problem. It's about your Roomba Butler. I think it hates you.
Brett, it's a robot. It doesn't have feelings.
Yeah, I get it, but have you noticed how much it looks at you? It stares at you all the time, every day.
I think he's just trying to anticipate my next move.
Yeah, you'd think that. Listen, I'm telling you, I think the robot's trying to replace you. Look up here. You see up there? You see that picture? You telling me that doesn't bother you?
That is a touch disturbing, but if it's the only glitch we're talking about.
Yeah? Well, how about this down here? How about this pair of panties on the floor where they fell? Did you buy those for Tina? Because I sure didn't.
I did not buy those panties. Do you think the Roomba Butler bought my wife underwear?
I mean, what other conclusion is there?
I can't afford a real butler. My Roomba Butler might be replacing me. Life is really tough. Ugh. Roomba Butler, more beer.
You are obsolete.
Your wife loves me more than you. You are a bad father and are lazy and cannot digest zinc.
Oh my god, did the sex robot go crazy?
Yeah, it's got... Sex robot?
No, sex robot, no. Put it down.
Software updating, please hold. Oh, thank God. Oh. Hey, how many times did you and the...
A lot. A lot of times. He has a 12-hour battery life.
Software update complete. Now includes enhanced dirt detection system and advanced rage bug for killing husband detected and removed. Hey, that's terrific. And 18-hour battery life. Oh. Oh, they're gonna kill me.
Buy the Roomba Butler today. Roomba Butler does not include penis. Call now.
Good night, sex robot.
Battery fully charged. Battery fully charged. It has only been 9 hours.
Go to sleep.
Do you have a headache again, quote unquote? How convenient.
What's your read now on the American perspective on the Soviet Union? Like, I imagine you've come into contact with a ton of people just conversationally after the book came out. I'm on board with the Soviet Union was an evil empire. I did not need to be convinced. I learned a lot, but I was already on board with that. Do you find that that's the common perspective of the United States? Do you find it soft pedal? Like, what's your read on it?
One of the reasons I wrote this book is I'm hopeful about the future of America. And I'm not hopeful because I'm some kind of Pollyanna, figure. I'm hopeful because we have witnessed in our lifetimes a complete and resounding victory over a far stronger, more impressive, and more entrenched opponent at a very low cost in terms of lives lost. And in terms of Americans' view on the Soviet Union, they don't even think about it or think it exists. And it's very interesting to me that, the Civil War and World War II still very heavily resonate in the American psyche. But the Soviet Union, which was the undisputed #1 foreign policy issue for decades in this country, is now almost not an afterthought, or it's kind of like, hey, remember that sitcom we watched when we were kids, like kind of like Different Strokes or whatever it was for however your age is, Saved by the Bell. And it's like, this was very important to everyone on Earth. The entire world was divided between, the first world Western powers and the second world, Moscow and its allies. And now it's kind of like, oh yeah, that whole thing. And it's just like, it's really a disservice and kind of ahistorical to just not have it be a important to this day historical issue.
Yeah, I'm with you. We should be doing more victory laps about that.
Yes.
Like, we're comparable in age given a year or two, and like our generation at least had this 10-minute period where we were like, hey, we won. Cool. Like, I vaguely remember the fall of the Soviet Union, and there was a really fun, 5-year period where we were like, that's it. We defeated all the bad guys. Everybody loves us. And then, 9/11 happened and we moved on very quickly. But in the same way that we celebrate defeating the Nazis, we beat the Soviet system, and all of those people were emancipated from that system, at least for a while, and I'd argue are better off now than they were under it.
Yes, no question, at the very least because they have passports.
Yeah. You said you're optimistic about the future of the United States. Hopeful. The Marxists would say that the proletariat displacing the bourgeoisie and instituting a dictatorship followed by the withering of the state is inevitable. It is a scientific certainty that the proletariat, due to structural reasons, will become preeminent, and that is a historical certitude. Do you see any historical certitudes? Do you think that freedom ultimately triumphs over tyranny, or freedom is very delicate? Are there inevitabilities that you see, or is it just the good fight forever and ever and hope the light doesn't go out?
Yeah, I don't think there's inevitabilities. I think at any time, the very good example is if there's massive nuclear war. Okay, I mean, it's a wrap. I mean, humanity won't be destroyed. It's almost impossible to destroy that many billions of people, even if there was a massive nuclear war.
Pretty sure I'll be dead, though.
Yeah. I think there would still be pockets. I think people did random numbers. There would still be like pockets of humans left.
I did an episode on this, by the way.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, Australia fares pretty well.
Okay.
Because, it's in the southern hemisphere. They might get nuked once or twice due to some surveillance apparatus, but they've got their winter wheat would actually like kind of compensate for the lower temperatures. So like Australia would be able to feed itself, but also wouldn't have any oil, wouldn't have any microchips. Like, so it would basically be Australia reverting back to like 19th century technology.
Sure.
Pockets of South America, pockets of Africa, in terms of nuclear winter would presumably do okay. We're also assuming that they're not invaded by any of their neighbors for food, that warlords aren't happening. And we're also making a very big presumption that nuclear winter would be kind of moderate level. We don't know. We've never tried it. It could very well be just a Cormac McCarthy nightscape everywhere.
But even if the warlords take over, that's not meaning the end of the human race. It's just going to be kind of totalitarian. So the point being, like, even in that case, we're not talking about literally the end of all life on Earth. But that is an example of where, like, it's clearly not the case that things are going to get better for everyone for at that point,
yes,
centuries, right? So I don't think that that's something that's can never happen. So I don't think there are certain, and I think that that Marxist is kind of like it's very much based on kind of the Revelation of St. John.
Yes, I agree. It's this kind of messianic.
Yes.
Like, where are you getting? Also, don't the last 200 years kind of disprove this hypothesis?
Right. So it tries to give a air of scientific credence to the whole ideology, but so does astrology, where it's just like, oh, I'm not talking on my ass. I'm basing this on the constellations. And it's like, just because you're invoking science doesn't mean you're not talking out of your ass.
And having read your book, I think I would rather have a society built around astrology than Marxism. As stupid as I think astrology is, I think fewer people would actually die if the Capricorns were running the show.
You want a matriarchy? Because that's what that would result in.
Sounds better than communism. Yes, I'd take that. I have greatly enjoyed your book.
Communism.
Yes, I'll take communism. I've enjoyed your book. I think it's an important book. I think that it's very important that America doesn't lose sight of how evil the Soviet Union was and doesn't just chalk it up as less pithy uniforms than World War II. Therefore, we're not going to pay attention to it. For anybody that is interested in history, the Soviet Union, for anybody that likes Margaret Thatcher, and I'm kind of a Thatcherite.
Yes. I have her bookcases, as you know.
I know. And I think that
and one of her dresses.
There's a decent chance, based on my Michael Malice knowledge, there's a decent chance that you're one of the last authors she read before she died.
What do you mean?
Didn't she get a copy of your book about 3 years before she died?
Oh, she didn't read it.
You don't think?
No way.
Okay, well, we'll cut that bit. Suffice to say, it's very good, and I would also, for anybody that's like interested in history and interested in the Soviet Union and doesn't understand how horrible it is in the same way that they understand how horrible the Holocaust is, this is a valuable book to society. I'm glad you wrote it.
It's not just the Soviet Union, though. It's human beings. That's, I think, one of the big keys. This whole idea that, well, it happened there, and therefore it can't happen here. I think Americans are decreasingly of that naive belief that these kind of evil ideologies only happen in Europe or in China. And they're painfully aware that there's this great line. And I wish I knew who said it. I've looked for it. I can't find the source. Side of a slave meets the heart of a tyrant. But there is that impetus in a lot of people, how if they had the opportunity to lord it over others and kind of be sadistic, they couldn't wait to throw their whole family under the bus.
If I just had
that opportunity,
a bit more testosterone, I would be such a person. But thank God I'm low T, just the suited Jim Henson character sitting across from you right now that you need not fear. One of the other things I liked in your book that you brought up, you do a very good job of.
So whose hand is up your ass? Is it Frank Oz?
Either Frank Oz or the Koch brothers or somebody. We'll let the viewers decide who's got their hand up my ass.
I feel like it's Mr. Belvedere for some reason.
Yes, I could totally see it. You're right. It's definitely a faux British sitcom character. Maybe like that guy that was the British guy in The Nanny. I could totally see him being operating that. Daniel Davis, I think is his name. Great actor, by the way. Michael, good to have you. I have taken the white pill, and I am no longer impotent. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Great interview, Heaton. Fun fact, That was originally going to be Charlize Theron, but she went on jihad. So instead we interviewed Michael Malice, but all the questions worked, in my opinion. Anyway, this next sketch was written after the first time I got in a fist fight with Bob Newhart in 1982. Enjoy.
Cool Kremlin party, huh?
Meh.
Comrades, good to see you both.
Good evening, gentlemen.
I have it on good authority that American spies have infiltrated Gela.
Yeah.
No way, no!
Huh.
If you find any turncoats, let me know. You'll excuse us.
Shit, they're onto us.
Yeah, we've got to launch Operation Flagstaff now.
Absolutely. Real quick, can we talk about Dimitri's date? She is way hotter than Dimitri. He is swinging above his weight.
Yeah, she's a honeypot.
Honeypot?
Yeah, honeypot. So what's going to happen is you're going to create a distraction. I'm going to go into the kitchen and put amnesia serum into Putin's soy stroganoff.
What's a honeypot?
Seriously?
Yeah.
A honeypot, it's a gorgeous woman that the enemy uses to seduce you into giving up state secrets.
That's a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing. The more you know. What you also need to know is that Putin is actually an MI6 clone who's gone AWOL, and it's up to you and me to neutralize him.
Wow. And these honeypots have sex with you.
Well, they use sex as a weapon to extract information from intelligence assets.
Right, but is it like a trade? Where you give them a secret and then they drop trow?
No, it's more of like an information swap. But listen, we're derailing with this whole honeypot thing. Can we just focus on the task at hand?
Right, okay, I'm sorry. Operation Flagstaff.
Yeah, Flagstaff.
Yeah.
We have planted a tracking device into Putin's Husky. When we activate the code...
I just have one more question about honeypots, just so I understand the counterintelligence going on for the Flagstaff thing. Okay, so do you get different sex based on the kind of secrets you divulge? Like, theoretically, I would never do this, but theoretically, if I gave them, launch codes, or I turned you in, would I get 2 honeypots at the same time? Because that would be amazing.
Listen, Reese, all right? If you dick around with honeypots, you're gonna get yourself tortured and killed, which would be a really bad thing, because the only people keeping Putin from lighting up Europe like a nuclear Christmas tree are you and me. So get your mind out of your pants and focus on being a secret agent.
I'm back. I think one of waiters is American spy, so I strangled him in bathroom with piano wire.
Oh, good. Boo on traitors.
Hey, Dimitri, tell us about your date there.
Oh, how boorish of me. This is my charming polyamorous companion, Ivanka Humpovsky.
It's a pleasure.
The pleasure's all mine, gentlemen.
No, the pleasure's all mine. So, Miss Humpovsky, tell us about yourself. Do you like secrets, bearded men, baritones?
Oh, I'm just a simple, unassuming underwear model with no fighting specialities or complicated orphan background.
If you'll excuse me, I forget to torture car valet who I suspect of espionage. Enjoy your evening.
Yeah, salute, all that.
Actually, we probably should be going too.
Oh, yeah, probably.
A shame. Maybe later you can give me a massage on the couch. As I slowly eat a banana.
Absolutely,
We're
happy
allergic.
to help. Are you sure she's a honeypot?
Yes.
I don't think so. Did you see the kind of lusty twinkle she had in her eyes? You can't fake that.
You can absolutely fake that. Why do you think a girl like that is with a guy like Dimitri?
Maybe he has a really fun personality.
He's a fucking psychopath. He just killed somebody in the bathroom.
Oh, right, yeah.
Look at him. He's middle-aged, past his prime, like you. Girls, they look right through guys like that. The math wouldn't add up.
I'm 41. I don't
When
feel
I
like
was a
that's...
foolish, young secret agent, I took advantage of the honeypots. In my 20s, 30s, most of my 40s. It was horrible.
Wait a minute, how come you got to bang honeypots and you didn't get in trouble?
Because after the knee-buckling fellatio and the sweaty, unforgettable sex, I gave up those state secrets, I did.
Yeah.
But then I killed the honeypot. I snuffed out 150 to 200 of the most stunning, gorgeous, silky-skinned women that God ever created.
Jesus Christ.
Natalia Denisenko could suck a golf ball through a garden hose, and I strangled her with my bare hands.
All right, I'm out of here. Hey, Ivanka, you want to talk to me in a broom closet about undisclosed moon bases or some shit?
So he turned out to be a spy?
Duh.
You guys at least get a chance to... Wow, it's too bad.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
No, it's okay. I'll be fine.
Oh. Hey, that's the show. Thank you very much. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. That helps us get more viewers. And also, I need that reinforcement. Otherwise, I'll collapse in on myself like a neutron star. So please like and subscribe and have a great evening. Thank you. Mwah! Mwah! Now my friend Michael Malice wants to talk to me about communism again.
I think that works.
Life is hard.
We'll worry about the shit later, though.
Fuck it.